So picking an All Black team to play the French in June, it seems to be every New Zealander's assumed right to pick an All Black team themselves, and we all tend to think that we have better kind of inside knowledge than what the coaches, who are kind of paid professionals, we know better than them. We like to pick our squad. So I've done the same thing here. I've picked mine. It's just the initial 23-man team to play the French. It's not the entire kind of 30-odd man squad, but yeah, it's a team that I would like to see play. It's not a prediction on what I think will happen, because there are some guys I don't think will get a shot. And yeah, it's a kind of a combination of things I would like to see, and some things I think the All Black selectors might be looking towards, and others that perhaps, yeah, that they might not, and it would just be kind of interesting to see for New Zealand rugby. But yeah, we'll have a look through, and you guys can let me know what you guys think, because I'm pretty sure that my exact 23 is going to be different from pretty much everybody else's. So yeah, there's a few big names that had to be left out, but I'm sure most of them would be in the whole 30-odd man squad, if not in the 23. Right, so I know what you're thinking, 2 cents, you idiot. Wyatt Crockett retired. I know he retired from international rugby, but if there's one position that the All Blacks will be struggling with this kind of test series, is loose head prop. Because like Kane Hames and Perry and Moley and all these guys are injured. So our depth in the number 1 jersey is sorely lacking, and Joe Moody's done no favours by getting suspended for a couple of games. He'll be back, I think, in time for 1 or 2 games before the French tests, but he's certainly, because he's only played 1 game of Super Rugby this season, he's not going to be at full kind of peak ability. So I'm saying Crockett comes back for a last hurrah. Whether or not that is possible, I'm not sure, but I'm sure the All Blacks will be having a word with him, because, like I said, that depth is being pretty sorely tested at the moment. So bring him back. Cody Taylor and Owen Franks. So it's an All Crusaders front row. It's pretty solid. Yeah, I can't imagine that getting bullied around too much. Retallick and Whitelock is probably one of the best locking duos in world rugby. Whitelock's got 96 caps, Retallick's got 68. They're just an awesome combo, and I can't see that being kind of broken up anytime soon. If you're looking forward to the World Cup after this one, Whitelock's going to be in his kind of, the twilight years of his career, but you got Scott Barrett coming through as well. So I put him on the bench. He's class, and that's a pretty awesome bit of tall timber in the team. The loose forwards is where it gets interesting, because Kieran Reid's out, so the big question is who's going to fill his shoes. And guys like Squire and Fafita, I'm pretty sure are still under a pretty heavy injury cloud. So whether they're going to be back in time for the tests is kind of unsure, and with what kind of condition they'll be in for the tests is even kind of less certain. Other guys who you might think about, like Elliot Dixon would be an obvious choice, but he's just recently signed a deal to go to play in Japan. So there are exceptions, but generally once you've signed that deal to go overseas, it kind of rules you out. Obviously Tauro Kubalo still got some time in black last year after having signed to go to France, but yeah, I think leading up to a World Cup year, they'll be wanting to just build the depth more than anything else. So the big debate over here at the minute is, who do you select at number 8 to replace Kieran Reid? Is it Luke Whitelock, or is it Akira Ioane? 2 very different players. Luke Whitelock's the defensive king. I think he's number 1 in tackles for Super Rugby this year. And then there's Akira Ioane, who's just a devastating ball runner, and I think he leads in tackle busts. So totally different ends of the spectrum. The debate is which one do you choose? Some people saying that you lean towards the defensive mindset first, because you get your D right and then you worry about your offense. I'm saying one or both. Put Luke Whitelock at 6, Akira Ioane at 7, and then keep kind of a bit of experience there with Ardie Savia Sorry, did I say Akira Ioane at 7? At 8, and Akira Adesevi at 7, so a bit of experience. I mean, I've got Matt Todd on the bench. He's, although he's not played that many All Blacks games, I think 13, he's still got a wealth of experience. So if you wanted, you could even put him at 7 instead of Savia, just to kind of keep cool heads. But you know, Luke Whitelock's been around the block. He's played 1 game for the All Blacks, 2 games for the All Blacks. So I can't imagine him getting stage fright. And yeah, I think Akira Ioane, just give him the ball and he'll be fine. So yeah, it'll just be an interesting combination. You've got a pretty dynamic duo in Savia and Ioane, and then a real solid kind of brick wall player in Whitelock. So, and Whitelock's proven that he's got more than just tackling ability as well. He's worked on other areas of his game. In the backs, Aaron Smith and Beauden Barrett. It's just your first choice 19 combination for the All Blacks at the minute. I think perhaps in the third game they give other guys a run, but at least in the first game it'll definitely be these 2, barring any injuries. I can't see them changing it up, but hey, you never know. I should mention that, you know, this is a France team. I don't think they've announced their squad yet, but finished 4th in the Six Nations. So all the All Blacks talking them up of being a massive challenge. Realistically, if you're the number 1 team in the world, they should be putting France to bed kind of 3-0. But yeah, it'll be a test anyway. So yeah, it's definitely a chance to blood some guys, I think, because you know it's just a 3-test series, and again, France they're not number 2 in the world. They finished 4th, below some other teams in Six Nations. So it's definitely a time to build some depth leading up to a World Cup, I reckon. Number 11 is a very contentious choice, Ben Lamb. I think he's clearly one of the best wingers in Super Rugby this year. He's scoring tries for fun, run meters, tackle busts, line breaks especially. He's just all over the place. But there seems to be a thing in the All Blacks where just kind of 1 season's not good enough. So I feel like they might call him up to the squad, but perhaps not to get any game time. It would be it'd be a quick run to the black jersey for him to get selected, but just purely on form, he's the best number 11 in the business in New Zealand at the moment. So yeah, I'll put him in just based on form, see if he can kind of step that game up. There are some players who you feel kind of get stuck at Super Rugby level. You know, he's a good Super Rugby player, but he's not a test level player. There's a lot of players who fall into that category. It's against France. Give him a crack and see how he goes. 12 and 13. So Goodhue's another one that, I mean, like, he's been around for a bit now, and he's been called up to the All Blacks squad before, but never got any time in the jersey. So I think you put him with Crotty, a guy who he's familiar with, who's been around for a while, and it gives him a bit of familiarity there. Get him blooded in the All Black jersey, so he'll kind of just settle in before any more high pressure games. And yeah, they're a good midfield combo for the Crusaders, so why not? And the Holo's a steady hand at 14. He's been around a while, and he's been playing good, so put him in. And Ben Smith, again, pretty safe pair of hands at the back. For the reserve backs, Tahuri Orangi, I've put him at 21, so reserve scrum half. TJ's been injured. He's just come back recently. Give him a break, maybe give him a start in the second or the third game. And yeah, there seems to be a thing in the All Blacks where guys like Drummond, Pulu and Weber all seem to be on the outer. They don't seem to want to give these guys a kind of secure spot as that third choice scrum half in New Zealand. So Tahuri Orangi's been called up to the All Blacks kind of induction camps or whatever they are. So they've definitely got him on the radar. Hey, give him a chance. He only has to play 10-15 minutes. See how he goes at the end of the game. See how he handles the pressure. 22, Mo'unga. He's another guy who you feel like's paid his dues. It's time for him to get a start. He can cover 10 or 15, so that's handy. Same as kind of Damien McKenzie, you could put him there. I feel like DMAC gets a start in the third game, perhaps, if the series is already in the bag. But yeah, it's time for Mo'unga to get some time in black. So yeah, give him a bench spot and give him some minutes towards the end of the game. And Rico Ioane, sure, put him on. He can cover midfield and wing. He's played a bit of there both this season. So, yeah, if Ben Lamb's not doing the business, you can sub him off for Rico and, yeah, basically see how you go. He's not had a kind of outstanding year by his standards, but he's not been playing for an outstanding team. So it's kind of interesting to see what some guys can do when they're in the black jersey, just because that level is so much higher. So yeah, that's the team. Like I said, some of these guys, like I think it would be unlikely that Tuhuriorangi or Lamb get starts in the first test, if even selected in the squad. Probably D-Max ahead of Richie Moonga. And, oh yeah, I should have mentioned Tumong Allen as the cover for tight head. He's been playing well. He's been capped once by the All Blacks, so give him another chance. But there's plenty of competition on that side of the scrum. You know, Tuangafasi is probably the incumbent reserve tight head, so yeah, that's the squad. Like I said, I really doubt Whitelock and Ioane will be on the field at the same time. I mean, there's a few debutants here that'd be Ioane, Goodhue, Lamb, Moonga, Tahuriorangi. Like, yeah, it's really unlikely that such an inexperienced squad would get chosen. But it's just something I would like to see. And like I said, it's without wanting to disrespect the French, because they do have a knack for causing the All Blacks problems at home in New Zealand at kind of the peak period of New Zealand's rugby season, where the French are just coming off the end of their season and should be tired. No guarantee they'll send a first strength team, a top team, full strength, and you know, finished fourth in the Six Nations. I'd be stupid to say that New Zealand shouldn't win this kind of easily, comfortably, satisfactorily. You know, New Zealand should win. So it's a time to experiment and get some guys into the Blacks kind of culture and yeah, systems, processes, all that stuff. Get them bedded in so that when they play kind of higher pressure games against the Wallabies, against the Pumas, the Springboks, and then even at a World Cup, they've got that experience to draw on. So they're not going to kind of be overawed by the whole experience. So yeah, that's it. Like I said, nobody's 23 is going to be the same. So feel free to let me know your thoughts. You know, like, there's also really big names not here. You know, there's no Sonny Bill Williams, and a lot of others. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll be looking for the Springboks and the Wallabies probably in the next couple of days. All right, guys, I'll talk to you again soon.